Hello everybody, how are y'all doing today? Just before I hit live, I had like a little coughing fit. That happens almost every time. I don't know if it's nerves or something, but hi everybody. Today is October the 25th, can you believe it? Gearing up towards the end of October. I hope I have not confused y'all, because the thumbnail says coming soon, right? But I'm holding up the trivet. We're not actually making the trivet today. We're going to be making it next Friday. But I wanted, because I didn't have a project lined up for this week, to like give y'all a week's notice of what we're doing next week. That's what we're doing next week. But guess what? You can get the pattern for free right now. There's a link in the description box. There's two links, okay? So pay attention to which one you're clicking on. The first link brings you over to my Patreon page where you can download the PDF version of the Christmas bulb trivet for free. And if you want the full version, which includes the PDF and the cutting files for those of you who have Cricut and Scan and Cut machines, that link brings you over to my Etsy page. But y'all, this pattern is only free through November the 4th. So get it now, right? You have over a week to grab this pattern. I'm going to teach this pattern next Friday live. Hi, everybody. Dari, is it 1 p.m. where you are? Because it might just show you the time zone that you're in. For me, right now it's 2 o'clock. Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's so great to see you. Today we're just chit-chatting, and I'm going to give you some ideas of future projects that are coming up soon. I'm going to show you my trivet that I made, and we're going to talk about a couple of other little things. Plus, I have some goodies to show you. Those of you who have been following along in my homesteading journey, I have some stuff to show you that what we've been doing in the last week. Hi, everybody. Faye has a slower internet today. Hopefully she can, it'll be strong enough that you can follow along with us. The good news is you're not missing any teachings today, Faye. We're just chit-chatting and hanging out. After the live, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it starts the 3-day quilt retreat over on Patreon. I'm excited. Hi, everybody. So great to see you. So I have a whole list of things we can talk about. First, let's start with this trivet. Isn't that so dang cute? You would not believe how easy this is. It is so easy. Look how perfect my circle is. That's because there's no opening that you have to leave along the edges of this trivet. I used 2 pieces of warm and natural batting. You could use Insulbright if you wanted the extra additional heat protection, right? But for my trivets, I tend to just double up on my warm and natural batting or my cotton batting. I forget the name of that. Some Quilter Select, which is an all cotton batting, right? But it's 2 layers of batting and the back fabric and the top fabric in some simple shapes of applique. So easy. This is a great size. Look, you could set a casserole right on this. This is what we're making next week. Sharon said, boo-hoo. Next week is the Houston Quilt Festival. I hope you're going, Sharon, and I hope you have so much fun. You can always come back on the replay, right? Always come back on the replay. I hope you go, and I hope you have so much fun. And then you'll have to tell us all about it. Right? I'm excited if you go to hear all the stuff that you saw. So, one thing that I wanted to tell you about with this is I posted the free pattern on Patreon. You do not have to be a member of Patreon to get this pattern. Just click on the link. It brings you right to it and download it, right? I uploaded it earlier this morning, and Sheila, I don't know if I've seen Sheila here yet today or not, but she sent me a text message, and she said there's a little typo on it. So just know, if you get it before I fix the typo, where it says what you need for the project, right? I give a little list of things you need. When it says the batting, it says thing quilt batting instead of thin quilt batting. I'm going to fix that, but it won't be today, I can tell you that. So there's a little typo on that. But yeah, super easy, super fun. Elaine, I love my new batting. I absolutely love it. I love the drape of it. I love how it quilts. I love the feel of the quilt when I'm done with it. Do you know what I'm saying? I've always been a warm and natural girl, and I still love warm and natural. But I really like the drape and the feel of the quilt with the Quilters Select. And price was comparable. You know, I buy my batting on a big roll, so the price was about the same that way. It's so great to see y'all. So yeah, this trivet is next week, right? And then in the weeks to come, to follow, here are some, just, I don't have pictures to show you, but patterns that I've been working on, just to kind of get you interested and excited, right? For Patreon members, we're making a wreath trivet, and that will be exclusive to Patreon members, and we're going to do a workshop on it next month, right? So think wreath trivets. And here on YouTube, we're going to be making a reindeer project, a penguin project, a gingerbread house, a gingerbread man, another ornament like this, but it's decorated differently. And we're not going to make all of those trivets. We'll make some trivets and some mug rugs. So that is what you have to look forward to in the next following weeks, right? So that should be fun. What do y'all think? I have not bought more because I still have a whole big roll of it. And it should last me a minute. Linda. Hey, Linda. It's cotton. Donna, it's the Quilters Select. And I have the sticker. Hold on a second. Do I have it? I had it. I do not have it anymore. I had the big sticker that was on the package. If Jeannie comes in, she can tell you exactly because she remembers the name of it, but Quilter Select Request or something like that. Arlise Jones said, I finally got on here when you're live. Hello, it's so great to see you. We're not doing a whole lot today. We're just chit-chatting. Danielle says, I like this 2 o'clock time. Me too, because let me tell you, I was able to eat lunch and get a whole bunch of stuff done this morning before coming on today. And about an hour ago, we got the freeze dryer loaded up with a whole bunch of different kinds of ice cream. It is. It's 100% cotton. I'm doing good, Cheryl. I've had a week. Do you ever just have a week where you're like, I'll be really glad when this week is over? You know what I'm saying? I've had a week, but we're going into the weekend, and next week is a new week. Do you know what I mean? Anne, it's so great to see you. Hi, Miss Glenda. How are you doing? What else are we doing? Oh, okay. So I wanted to let everybody know, if you're on Patreon, right, we're doing a 3-day quilt retreat starting today at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But because we had so much fun last month during the 24-hour quilt retreat, when like at 2 o'clock in the morning, spur of the moment, we decided to do like a little digitizing class, right? That wasn't planned. It just happened. But we had so much fun all working on the same project that during the 3-day quilt retreat, we're having 3 different workshops, right? Tonight, we're doing this stitch in the hoop Christmas ornament. So this was like a bonus free pattern, right, for Patreon. I also included 2 different sizes because someone messaged me and they only have a 4-inch hoop. I resized it, so I had to redigitize these bottom sections because just making everything smaller messed them up. So I redigitized it for the smaller hoop too. But this is going to be tonight's workshop, and that starts at 8 p.m. And I just want to say, if you're on Patreon and you don't have an embroidery machine and you could care less about learning how to do this, I hope you still stick around and hang out with us because we have so much fun. I imagine there'll be chit chat as we're all making and stitching out this ornament. So please don't feel like you can't be included in that time. You can still hang out with us and you can work on something different, right? So I just wanted to say that. But tomorrow we're doing a scan and cut workshop. And several people have already asked questions, so I know where to go with that workshop, right? I have some direction and some things to show you with that. And then Sunday, we're doing the Susanna mug rug as part of our quilt retreat. Also, if you don't want to join Patreon, I totally get it. But you really want this, right? And you want the workshop, I'm going to offer that next week. You can just purchase the workshop and the little ornament pattern to stitch out with your embroidery machine. So I just want to let y'all know that. So Dari, this is fabric and thread, right? I have done some ornaments, which are far over there, that are like freestanding lace, where it's just thread, right? But this is a layer of quilt batting and 2 layers of fabric. And yeah, isn't that really pretty? Linda, I saw your picture of your cannon stuff. You have been busy. I was wondering, because you know what? We have, our garden is still putting out quite a bit of stuff. And right now we have, I don't know how many pounds it would be if we took them all off. But we have regular tomatoes. I forget what variety they are. We have Roma tomatoes. And we have cherry bomb tomatoes, you know, the little round ones. Just our plants are loaded with green ones. And I was like, and we were wondering, like, could you can these somehow? And then I saw your picture. I was like, Linda did it. Delia says, I'm on Patreon, but can never figure out how to get on. All right, Miss Delia. I'm not going to tell you to leave the live chat right now, but when we're done streaming, okay, you'll be able to come back to my channel and pull up this video. So just close down YouTube, come back to YouTube, come to my channel and pull up this video, and then open the description box. And in the description box, there's a link for my Patreon page. Click on that, right? But make sure that you sign into Patreon using the same email account that you used to sign up for Patreon, because that's really important. And then you should be able to just scroll through the page. But that link in the description box will bring you right there. And at 2 o'clock, there will be a link for a Zoom. And you just click on the link and you come right on in. Linda, yes. See that sauce back there? I'm going to show you a close-up of it. It's so beautiful, that sauce. Anne says she's already planted her fall garden outside in the greenhouse. She's got tomatoes and green beans and squash. We're still getting string beans. The plants themselves, we did on sort of like a stand-up trellis. The plants look horrible. Like if you were just to judge how are my string beans doing, looking at the plants, you would think there's nothing on there. As soon as you walk up to it, you're like, holy cow. We're still getting lots and lots of string beans off of them. I have a jar of string beans that I canned. I'm going to show you. We just planted beets and kale and broccoli and cauliflower and something else. I forget what that other thing was. Cheryl wants to know, can you do the ornament on a serger machine? You might be able to do the outside of the ornament on a serger, but I'm pretty sure you would not be able to stitch the inside decoration like that on a serger. Darlene says you have been busy. Yes. What is going on with the farm stand? Our little farm stand is doing so good, y'all. Every day we have people stopping by. We're selling a ton of eggs, which is a good thing because we're getting between 18 to 26 eggs a day. And so the eggs are doing really well. Right now, produce-wise, it's kind of slim pickings. We still have, like Harlan brought out today, some little pint containers of cherry and Roma tomatoes mixed, right? We have some butternut squash out there, a couple cucumbers, and some sweet potatoes. So the produce is kind of slim pickings in there. But I brought out my home table runner. That's for sale in there. I made a chicken mug rug. That's for sale in there. And oh, the star that I hand paper pieced, English paper piecing. I made a trivet, and that's for sale in there. We also, because we're operating under cottage food laws, right? We can only sell baked items and candies and pickles and things like that in person, and they have to come to the house. So last weekend we did a candy event, and we sold freeze-dried candy. And we had a few people show up for that. That stuff we cannot just put out in the farm stand and sell. They actually have to come to the house and they have to buy it in person with us. So I wish we could just fill up the farm stand with all kinds of goodies, but we can't do that. Darlene, what kind of pickles are you making before the retreat? I've made a lot of pickles this year. I've made relish. I've made 2 different kinds of dill pickles. I've made the 4-day pickles. I made refrigerator pickles, but I would tell you they're not my favorite. There's something else. Pickled beets. There was another kind of pickle, and I'm losing track of everything, but made a lot of pickles this year. Oh, Linda, Maureen sent you a chicken mug rug. That's awesome. How much have we sold so far? Well, we haven't made back the cost of the cat. No, we have. I think altogether we've made $230. And the cabinet cost us $160. So, but then he also bought the cooler. So I don't think we've broken even yet. And he also bought special cartons for the eggs that are so cute, right? So we bought those, and then we bought some little recyclable half pint containers for small things, you know, like the cherry tomatoes that are coming out and stuff like that. Candy, yes, I have a freeze dryer. Do you want to see my candy? I'll tell you what. Okay, so yeah, we'll skip down. I want to show you my t-shirt quilt top. I got that done. So don't let me forget to look at this paper because there's a reminder on there for that. But do you want to see some of the stuff we've done this last week? Although the mushrooms, we didn't do that this week. We did that the week before. But we will start with freeze-dried candy. Now I want to just tell you this, okay? Because I like to keep it real with y'all. And sometimes I sugarcoat things, but I still tell you the truth. But y'all know me. I'm kind of an open book, right? I love candy. I love candy. But I have a disclaimer about these things right here. Okay, so I want to start making my own candy and get away from buying candy and freeze drying it, even though I could eat my weight in these right now. Do you know what these are? They're freeze-dried Red Hots. Can I just tell you, all of the things I'm going to show you today, I can't eat with my new teeth. I can't eat them. But freeze-dried, I can eat every single one of them because they just kind of crunch and melt away and dissolve quickly. So if you have partials or dentures and you're a candy person like me, try freeze-dried candy wherever you can find it, because it's a game changer if you have a sweet tooth, but you also have dentures or partials or dental work, right? The Red Hots are amazing, let me just tell you. But it's been like over a year since I've been able to eat Red Hots. Because even with my natural teeth, I had a hard time eating them. But freeze-dried, I can just crunch right into them. But let me just tell you, it had been over a year since I had Red Hots. We did Red Hots. And we had this size container, and then we had little bags, right? We had a lot of freeze-dried candy left over. So, of course, I'm like, Red Hots, freeze-dried, I can eat those. So one day, I ate a little bag of Red Hots, right? And I couldn't stop eating them. So I ate the whole little bag. It was a little tiny bag. And then the next night, I ate another bag. And do you know, for the next 3 days, I could barely move this hand. Do you know what I figured it out? That I'm like 99% sure what it is the Rid Dye 40. I had gone a long time without eating a lot of stuff with like the food colorings and stuff, candy-wise. Y'all, I would eat candy every single day. And then I went a long time without eating it, right? I could eat my weight in these, but I think that I would not be able to move my body. So my goal is, after freeze drying all this candy, right? My point is, I want to start learning how to make my own candy with the cinnamon flavoring, but eliminate the food coloring. Because I'm going to tell you, my hand, every single knuckle, this one, and the bone right here, on all 5 fingers, I could barely move them for 3 days. It was horrible. It was so bad. Okay, so those are Red Hots. These are wild berry Skittles. Look how puffy, right? I won't be able to make those. But did you know in some countries they have banned Skittles? I didn't know that. These might be some of my favorites. These are caramels. They're puffy like a cloud, right? And they melt in your mouth. I can't eat caramels the way that they are, but I can eat these. But I'm going to be experimenting with some homemade caramels and freeze drying those, right? And these are probably, y'all know me. If you've known me and followed me on Facebook for any amount of time and have been in Zooms from way back then, right? These are the Sweet Tart Minis. I think I had an addiction to these candies, but with my dentures, I can't eat them. But freeze-dried, I can. So that's just some of the candy that we've done before, right? We've done Tappy and Lappy Tappy and all kinds of stuff. I'm drawing a blank on everything. Marshmallows are awesome, freeze-dried, yes. Regina has a niece who's allergic to red dye 40. I know, and if you look, it's in so much stuff, isn't it? Kenny says, I think my mom is allergic to certain red dyes. I think that has to be exactly what it is. Beta honeys are delicious. Yes, and Charleston chews and milk duds. Yes. Yeah. But I want to transition from buying candy in the store, although I really want to do some lemon heads. Before I do my big transition, I want to start making my own candy and freeze drying that, right? Brenda said, how do you freeze dry candy? There is a machine, and so if you leave and you go and you search up Stay Fresh or Harvest, right? Those are like 2 of the main brands that make a freeze drying machine, right? And it's like a big box that kind of looks like a washer. Has a glass door, right? And inside there's a big drum, and inside that there's shelves that you put your trays on, right? Anyway, with candy, the process is a little bit different. It doesn't actually freeze the candy. It actually warms it up and then sucks all the air out, right? And it causes the sugar to become warm and then expand when the vacuum comes on. But right now we're doing a whole freeze dryer load of ice cream. So what it's going to do is lower the temperature down to like minus 10 degrees or so, I forget. And then it's going to turn on a vacuum and slowly start to warm up the trays. So the moisture in the food is going to evaporate into a gas like immediately. Interesting enough, it's a process called sublimation. I'm all into that. And so yeah, it just removes all the moisture, but it retains like 98% of the nutrients in the food or sugar contents in the food, whatever you're doing. Elaine says, Lisa, we have never heard of any of the things you're talking about. to broaden horizons. So I'm so glad you're here. What else have we done? On the freeze-dried notes, after the ice cream is done, I'm making my own caramel, and we are freeze-drying caramel apple bits. These are some bananas that we freeze-dried, which is probably my most favorite snack that we freeze-dried. And I'd rather have this than any of the candies. So that's a good thing, right? I'd rather have the freeze-dried bananas than any of the candies we've ever done. But freeze-dried bananas are amazing. We, the last weekend, was it last weekend? We shredded a whole bunch of zucchinis and we freeze-dried that, right? And this is so good on a salad or sprinkled in a soup. You could reconstitute this and make zucchini bread, all kinds of stuff. Linda, I'm not real big on okra. I don't love okra. I might try some, but I'm not a big fan of it. Darlene says, does it have a powdery texture when you eat it? Let me just kind of try to remember or explain what it's like when you eat it. I'm trying to think of something that everyone would recognize, but it's kind of like a crunchy marshmallow. Okay, so, you know, Lucky Charms cereal, the marshmallow bits in that, except it's not kind of chalky like that, but that's kind of what it's like. Do you know what I'm saying? Sharon said, my feelings are hurt. I grow okra. Just because you love okra doesn't mean I have to. And I like things that you don't like. And we can still be friends, Sharon. I'm sure there's things that I grow and I like that you might not like. I've just never really been someone who loves the taste of okra. Lisa says, I dehydrate my stuff. I don't have a freeze dryer. And Virginia said, what is the difference between freeze dry and dehydrating? So we have a dehydrator and we have a freeze dryer, right? Bananas. So I'll just open these up. We did bananas in the dehydrator and they get really hard. I can't eat them with these teethies, right? I vacuum sealed them so they're hard to get into. But freeze dried, right? That's what they look like freeze dried. And I can eat these all day long and they're super light and they're crunchy. Right? Dehydrated fruit, I have a hard time chewing up. And it just melts in your mouth. So yeah. I think dehydrating, you're also losing a little bit more of the nutrients. Now my mouth is watering a lot. I didn't plan on that. Where freeze drying, you are retaining a little bit more of the nutrients in the food. And this has a much longer shelf life. So in the jar like this, I could keep it a couple years, but we keep stuff in a jar, vacuum sealed for snacking, but I also have packed away in Mylar bags bananas. And those have a shelf life of 25 years, or maybe even longer, I don't know. Candy, we didn't put any lemon on our bananas. I think it depends on how fast you're cutting them up and putting them in the dryer, right? If you're pretty quick, you can cut them up and put them in the freeze dryer, you know, that's already, if you let it get cold first, right? It kind of saves the color a little bit. Yes, it tastes like I just bit into a banana. Apples are delicious. So, canning in the last week. This is not the last week. This was week before last. We bought a whole bunch of mushrooms from Sam's Club because we put mushrooms in everything. But did you know you can can mushrooms? Look at that. It's little mushroom bits. These are baby portobello mushrooms. And a case at Sam's Club of mushrooms was like $30. The white mushrooms, a case is $24. And you can cut them up and can them. Way cheaper than buying canned mushrooms from the store. And there's no preservatives. Our green beans, or they're string beans. I call them the pain in the ass string beans. If you wanna know, that's just me being real with you. I don't think we'll grow this variety again because these string beans were so much work. And these string beans had strings on both sides of them. So when you're cleaning your beans, right? And you're snapping them, there's a tough little string on both sides. That's these beans. And while they taste delicious, and it's worth the work, this variety of string beans, we won't be growing these again. We're going to find a different variety, but aren't they so pretty? A lot of work. We're still getting them out of the garden. If you go to the y'all, I feel like my hormones causes me to lose my memory sometimes, spot on the moment. The preservation website, I forget what it's called. If Sharon's still here, she can say it. But the USDA preservation site, they will give you the amounts of time and the pressure for pressure canning mushrooms, and like half pint and pint time requirements, right? Because it's different times, right? I don't want to give you how long and what pressure because you might live in a different area. But if you go to that website and look up anything, if it can be canned, it'll tell you the correct canning procedure. I don't remember exactly what kind. We still have the little package the seeds came in. I'll have to look it up and let you know the specific name. But I call them the pain in the A beans because they were a climbing bean. So it was so, like, I've shared snippets of our garden walking through there. It's so fun to walk through that part of the garden. Now they're not so pretty, but they're still making beans. And the bean tastes good. Tastes really good. But it's so much work. Linda said, do you have to vacuum seal mushrooms? You pressure can mushrooms in the pressure canner, and that forms a vacuum seal on your can. Right? Thank you, Dari. Yes, that's it. Dari shared the website for y'all. And then the last thing is this beautiful sauce. Look at that color of that sauce, y'all. Isn't that so pretty? I got 6 quarts of sauce this last go around. And it is just so pretty. Like, see that color? Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. Whoops. So we've been busy here at the house this last week. Hopefully, I mean, one of the reasons why I like to show you all this stuff is to inspire you, right? Hopefully you've seen something that you're like, you know what, I might try that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get into making my own candy and freeze drying that. But it's so good. Susan said, can you use an Instant Pot pressure cooker to can veggies and such? I do not believe so, Susan. Now, I'm not the know-all authority of canning, but I would research that, and my answer is I don't believe so. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I would tell you what, yes, Darlene. It is so much fun. It's so rewarding too, like to open up the canner and to pull this stuff out and know that you did that, right? And you know what's in the food, right? I did this last batch of salt with no seasoning. So technically I could open that jar up and I could add seasoning for a spaghetti sauce. I could add that jar to a pot of soup, right? For a lot of different soups, right? I could turn it into pizza sauce, all kinds of stuff. Virginia said, did you make your t-shirt? No, a good friend of mine sent me that shirt. Isn't it so cute? It's so cute. Yes, and hearing the jars pop. Yes. I have had a really good, successful year. I've only had a couple jars in the last 6 or 8 months that didn't seal. So those are all the things that we've done here at my house. Tomato soup, yes, that's so delicious. Darlene says she has been crunchy for a very long time. I love describing someone as crunchy. I would say I'm mostly crunchy. You know, I had a comment on one of my Facebook, or not my Facebook, my YouTube videos. And ironically enough, it was a countertop video. that was made almost 6 years ago. I'm assuming that that's the first video of mine they've ever watched, right? Because that has nothing to do with quilting. And also, ironically enough, that video has outperformed, and probably always will, any of my sewing and quilting related videos. But they commented that at the 3-minute mark, they noticed a Dairy Queen frozen treat cup on my counter and asked me, as a homesteader, could I really call myself a homesteader if I still have fast food? It wasn't worded exactly like that. But so I've decided I guess technically I'm not a homesteader, because I think to go my entire life and not to ever indulge in a Big Mac or a Blizzard or a Dorito Loco Taco from Taco Bell or Chick-fil-A nuggets occasionally in my life, if that disqualifies me from being a homesteader, then I'm not one. Yeah, Linda said that was 2 houses ago. Exactly. Now, let me just tell you, when we lived at that house 2 houses ago, little did they know, here was our house on the street, and at the end of the street there was a Dairy Queen. Like, how could you not go there? There was also a Rally's at the end of the street. And I mean to tell you, if you got in your car, it would take less than 45 seconds to get there. How could you not go to Rally's and Dairy Queen living that close? But sorry, I'm still eating banana. We live far away from any of those awesome things now. So occasionally when we drive the distance that far, if I drive by Taco Bell, I might get a Taco Bell or a Chick-fil-A sandwich or something. Oh, Virginia, I love doing chicken broth and turkey broth. Yes, Candy, I totally agree. Candy said there's a difference, in my opinion, between being a homesteader and being an off-gridder, right? I don't think I could totally classify myself as crunchy, because every so often I do indulge in something like this, right? The food coloring and the sugar and the processed stuff. And fast food occasionally, right? But I think in general, we've made a huge life change, right? Not just moving out here, but becoming more of an ingredient household, right? And not buying cakes from the deli at Food Lion. Now, if we want cake, we pull out the ingredients and make a cake, right? That kind of change. Arlise Jones said, I have a freezer that is full of bones. And you know what? That is so funny because you say it like that. I can relate to that, But just in general, if you were just to walk up to people and say, I have a freezer full of bones, they would think you are so weird. And I'd be like, I know I'm weird. But we're not weird. We're smart. And there's so much nutrition in a homemade bone broth, right? But it sounds funny when you say, I have a freezer full of bones. Susan said, what does crunchy mean? So I think it's like, I don't know how new it would be, but it's kind of like a word that describes someone who has eliminated processed food, sugars, a lot. If you're really crunchy, a lot of different fabrics that aren't cotton or linen, right? And lots of other things too. It's kind of like a sliding scale, right? Here's me where I will, occasionally go to fast food, absolutely, and eat processed sugars, but also am conscious and trying to make better life choices about the things we prepare and stock our pantry with, right? And we have chickens and we have a garden, right? And then on the extreme side, or I don't even want to say extreme, you have the ones who eliminate everything, right? It's not extreme, I don't think. Heather said crunchy is the new hippie. Thank you. Cheryl said, I have bones in my refrigerator. And anyone new to my channel and to anything about that are going to be like, what? Y'all have bones in your refrigerator? Y'all are so weird. All right. Do you want to see my t-shirt quilt top? I didn't want to forget to do that. So I got this bad boy. The top is done. I need to load it on the frame and get it quilted. It's not all going to fit in the picture because she's quite large. That top has a lot going on. I will say that. There were, how many shirt logos? There were like 48 or 50 logos that I had to fit in there. So that was a lot. I've done quilts that have more than that. But that was a lot. That top ended up measuring 80 inches by 80 inches. Going back, Linda said, I've been making Ruby's food. So have fresh broth constantly. I remember, Linda, do you remember years ago when we would Zoom? Or at that time it was through Facebook or something, wasn't it? I don't know that they even had Zoom. And you would be chopping up leftovers, right? For your chickens. And I just thought that that was always so comical and so fascinating that you would do that. And do you know what I've done several times this past week? Chopped up cucumbers or whatever, you know, had a spot on it, and it out to the chickens that went. I think that is just so funny how it's just sort of come around to me, right? And just a few short years ago, I used to think it was comical that you were doing that. And now, look, that's so funny. What are the size of the squares, Pamela? So to get everything to, she wanted like a collage style where all the blocks weren't the same size, right? So in that top, I think the smallest logo is on a 6-inch block. And then everything, they're all cut in different sizes. So there were some really bigger t-shirt logos, and then there were some smaller ones. Ah, you're making a cathedral window. We made one of those like 2 years ago or something now. Those are so pretty. Laurel, you've had a boot for 8 weeks and you've got 2 more weeks to go. I know you'll be excited to get that off. Do you have to use stabilizer behind the shirts? You don't have to. I think that's a question. You know, if you put together 20 quilters who have made t-shirt quilt tops, I think you're going to get multiple different answers. And there's no right answer or wrong answer. For me, I've done it both ways. And I can tell you, I much prefer to have the stabilizer on. It makes the sewing so much easier. It makes quilting so much easier. There's so much less stretchiness, right? But a lot of people say they prefer not to have it on there. Me, I would not do one without it. And I've done it both ways. Peggy, you keep getting interrupted by phone calls. I'm so sorry. You can just put your phone on silent for a minute. We're only going to be hanging out a few more minutes here anyway. I'm trying to think. I'm just going through everything. T-shirt quilt. Yeah, I think that's all my notes. Gloria, you taught a class this morning on a yo-yo tree ornament and you had 19 people there. Look at you go. What? That is so exciting. How do you feel like it went? I'm sure you did great. Oh yeah, Peggy, you could not talk to your sister for sure. I hope you know I was kidding when I said put your phone on silent. Don't do that. Yeah, Sharon said, I agree with you about the t-shirt quilts with the stabilizer. I think I've done 3 t-shirt quilts in my lifetime without stabilizer because I'm a penny pincher. And if there's a way to do it with a great outcome, spending less money, then I'm all about that. But I'll tell you, there goes my cat. I will tell you, time is money. So even though I wasn't spending the money on the stabilizer, the tops took me so much longer to put together. And time is money, right? Those tops are more expensive not using stabilizer than they are with it. For me, right? They just take so much longer. And for me, it's like a struggle. And I like, all my seams to be as straight as possible. I'm not saying it has to be perfect, but I like nice and neat as I can make it, right? And without using stabilizer, I had puckers in all my seams. And so for me, it's just so much easier with it. Everyone loved the class. Gloria, I'm so dang excited for you. I think that is awesome. Lisa said, the idea of teaching anything terrifies me. Well, you know what, Lisa? I said the same thing. A couple of years before I started YouTube, I was selling my quilts at a community, sort of like craft fair. It was a mixed venue at a church, and it was like yard sale, craft sale, kind of combined. So we set up a tent, and I was selling some of my quilts, and my hope was at that time to meet people who would want to order a t-shirt quilt sometime down the road, right? I had some t-shirt quilts that I had made on display, and I was really just trying to get my name out there, and that was before YouTube. And I met someone who had a little school, and what an awesome person she is, right? But she had a little school, and her school taught all kinds of stuff. Life skill stuff, music classes, how to balance a checkbook. I mean, there was a whole genre of things you could learn at her school. And she came up and she's like, would you teach a class on this, on quilting? I have a group of like 8 ladies who have been asking for a class on quilting. I'm like, absolutely not. No. Like the thought of that, I broke out into a cold sweat. And she's like, well, please, will you please just think about it? And so she gave me her card, and I thought about it, and I thought about it. And she would call me occasionally, and I'm like, I'm still trying to consider doing it, And eventually I just said, if you buy the sewing machines, I will teach a class, and we'll make a pillow with a Dresden plate on the front of it. And I was scared, like I could not sleep, and I would have nightmares the whole week before that class started. I was horrified. And let me just tell you, those ladies were so dang excited to learn this that I could have messed up everything I said as long as I showed them what to do. They didn't care how professional of a teacher I was. That was the first time I've ever taught anything. They were just so happy to learn. And we stretched out that Dresden plate pillow class, I think, for 4 weeks. And every week they would show up and they were just so excited. And that rubs off on you, right? So the first time, like in the car, I was about to have a panic attack, right? But after I left the first class, their excitement made me excited. So even though I was scared to go back, I was excited just to meet with them, right? I think being scared to teach or to demonstrate or to talk with people is a struggle that everyone has, right? But that was my first, like, getting my feet wet in it. So Retired said, can someone recommend a quilting type sewing machine that has the large open space but can be used on my sewing table? All right, y'all have all different kinds of sewing machines out there. So if you know of a machine that has a good throat space for quilting but sits on your regular table, can you post that? And what I would say, So Retired, is not only here in the live chat, if people respond to that, come back to this video a couple times and see if anyone has responded. There's so many different machines out there that would probably work for you fantastically. I like my Juki HZLF 600. That has 8 inches of throat space, right? It's a terrific machine, terrific for quilting. It's got 8 inches, which I feel like is decent, right? It could be bigger, but is a decent size throat space. Yes, Linda, I am a total introvert for sure. Absolutely. Ah, there you go. You're getting a couple recommendations of some machines that might work perfectly for you. You can just jot them down and then go watch some reviews on them, right? To help make a educated decision. All right, y'all. Well, we have about an hour before our quilt retreat starts this weekend, and I am so dang excited. And I just want to remind everyone again that please just join us or come pop in and say hello. And even if you're not interested in the 3 different workshops, they're only going to be small bits of time in the 3 days. And you could still hang out during that time, right? You don't have to make the ornament to hang out with us, right? But it's also an opportunity, like if you've been on the fence, you don't have an embroidery machine, but you've been kind of considering doing it or getting one, you might find it interesting just to sit on that workshop too and just see the process of it, right? You might not ever have a desire to get an embroidery machine and you just want to hang out with us, right? What are we making on the retreat? Susan, we're going to be doing this in the hoop Christmas ornament tonight. We're going to be doing a scan and cut workshop tomorrow night, and Sunday we're making the Susanna mug rug. Oh, good. You're getting lots of recommendations for the machine. That's awesome. I love this community because I feel like it's kind of like having a Google, right? It's kind of like having a search engine, because if you have a question, more than likely someone here knows the answer or can point you in the right way, right? Retta, I'm so glad to see you. Hello. Yes, Patreon retreat. For the retreat on Patreon, you do have to be a Patreon member of the UFO squad. So there's a link down in the description box that brings you over there. If you have a hard time finding how to locate the Patreon page, it's in the description box. The link, Dawn, for the retreat will be on the Patreon page. And you'll want to download the Zoom app. You can download the free Zoom app. And you'll want to do that before trying to log on. Linda, you caught us just as we're getting ready to say goodbye. I just want to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. For those of you coming in, next week we're making this. Get your free pattern while you can. The link is in the description box. It's free until November the 4th. We're doing a class on this next Friday, which is November the 1st, here on YouTube. And if you want the cutting files for this, you can purchase the pattern now. It comes with Scan and Cut and Cricut SVG files. The PDF version is free. The link is down in the description box. Stuff coming up in the next couple weeks. Reindeer pattern, a penguin pattern, gingerbread house, gingerbread man, another kind of ornament, differently decorated, trivets and mug rugs. That's what we're doing coming up. All right, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for recommending different machines. That is a good start list for anyone interested in a machine that is fantastic for quilting and has a decent throat space. Thank y'all so much. All right, everybody. I am off to probably just go check in on Harlan, see how our ice cream is doing in the freeze dryer. And yeah, if you're on Patreon, I'll see y'all shortly, right? And if not, I will see y'all next Friday. We're making a trivet. It's going to be so much fun. Bye, everybody.